You said, particularly in the Indian context, the mothers, grandmothers are aunts. Women are generally controlled. Can you explain what you meant by that?
I mean that so for my mother and her sisters, they were not allowed to, be out after dark or after 7. They weren't allowed to hang out with men in any capacity. They weren't allowed to really have any fun, like have any kind of life. Now, granted, my mother also my both my parents came from poor families, but even in my generation, the girls in the family were not given love by my grandmother in the way that the boys were. She coddled the boys to the extent that I would say that my grandmother coddling her sons and then her grandsons led to worse outcomes for all of them. Coddling is not good for men. You just let them do whatever they wanted. Similarly, keeping women under such strict control because their chastity is the family's honor, like that's why women do it to each other within the same family. In fact, the biggest enforcers of patriarchy are not very often men as direct enforcers. Like where if a woman is moving around in public, men are just going to stare at her and there's just a male colonization of public space. I highly doubt that's changed in a decade, right? There's a reason there are female only train cars, right? So there is a good reason to be afraid of what men might do out in public. But at the same time, there is an assumption that if a woman is given any freedom, she's going to go out and get pregnant. Like that's why my mother kept me under lock and key. I wasn't allowed to have friends, wasn't really allowed to socialize. I wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend or even talk to boys, be friends with them or anything. My first sort of experience socializing with boys was in college, but keeping me under lock and key had a sort of the opposite effect of what she intended. She didn't trust her daughter's judgment, and neither do many women trust their daughter's judgment to, not fuck around and get pregnant and maybe give them a little bit of freedom. I find it to be strange that you would just have a kid and then not trust that kid's judgment at all. Now I know I was a kid. Sure, maybe I wouldn't have made the right decision anyway. But not giving me the freedom to try and fail, just it ended up backfiring at the end of the day. And so many women who grow up in Indian families end up having mental health issues because they don't get to have any freedom and they're required to take care of everybody, especially if you're the eldest daughter.